somewhere. Right now, there is a version of you living a different life. Same face, same name, same story, until one moment, months ago, when he made a different choice. He didn't wait for Monday. He didn't wait to feel ready. He simply started. And today, while you are watching this video, that version of you is living the result of that one decision. Here is what nobody tells you about procrastination. It doesn't feel like failure. It feels like comfort. It feels like rest. It whispers, later, you'll have more energy. Later, you'll have more time. Later, it will be easier. But later never arrives with a gift. It arrives with a bill. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are simply paying a price you cannot see until the day you finally see it, and by then, it's already expensive. Today, you're going to see exactly what that price is, and more importantly, you're going to learn how to stop paying it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? Not once, not twice, maybe 100 times. And tomorrow kept becoming today, and today kept becoming tomorrow again. This is not a video about discipline tricks or productivity hacks. You have heard those before, and they didn't fix anything because the real problem was never your calendar. The real problem is deeper. It lives in the quiet moments when you choose comfort over growth, and nobody is there to call it what it truly is: a cost. Here's the truth. Procrastination is not free. It only pretends to be. Every day you delay, you are not standing still. You are moving backward while everyone around you moves forward. Your competitor learns the skill you postponed. Your dream job gets filled by someone who applied while you were still preparing. The opportunity doesn't wait politely at the door. It knocks once, and when nobody answers, it walks to the next house. In the next few minutes, you will learn 10 lessons. Each one reveals a hidden cost of waiting, a cost that is stealing your future one quiet day at a time. You will learn why your skills are quietly getting weaker, why your confidence is fading even when nothing bad is happening, and why the doors closing around you right now are closing in complete silence. But this is not only a warning, it is also a map. Because once you understand the true price of procrastination, you gain something powerful, the ability to stop paying it, starting today. So listen carefully. What you are about to hear may be uncomfortable, but comfort is exactly what has kept you stuck. It's time for the truth. Lesson 1. The myth of the perfect moment. Most people believe they are waiting for the right moment, the right mood, the right amount of confidence, the right amount of time. But here is something important to understand. The perfect moment is a myth, and chasing it is how years disappear. Think about this. A farmer does not wait for perfect weather to plant his seeds. He knows that if he waits for everything to be ideal, the season will pass, and there will be no harvest at all. Life works the same way. Conditions are rarely perfect. They are simply acceptable enough to begin. Here's the truth. The people you admire, the ones who built successful careers, who learned new languages, who moved to new countries and built new lives, did not start because they felt ready. They started while feeling unprepared, afraid, and uncertain, and they let the doing create the readiness instead of waiting for readiness to create the doing. Imagine two students learning English. One says, "I will start speaking once my grammar is perfect." The other says, "I will speak today, mistakes and all." 1 year later, the second student is having real conversations. The first student is still waiting for a moment that will never fully arrive. Most people never realize that waiting for the perfect moment is simply a comfortable way to avoid risk. It feels responsible, it feels wise, but it is often just fear wearing a disguise. Remember this: motion creates clarity. You do not think your way into readiness, you act your way into it. The plan becomes clear only after the first step is taken, not before. So, here is your first lesson and your first practical shift. Stop asking, "Is this the right time?" Start asking, "What is one small action I can take in the next 10 minutes?" That single shift, from waiting to moving, is where every real transformation quietly begins. Lesson 2. Skills. Don't wait for you. Here is something painful, but necessary to understand. Every skill you postpone is quietly decaying, even while you are not using it, even while you tell yourself you'll get back to it soon. Think about a language you once studied. Maybe you learned some English years ago, felt confident, and then stopped practicing. What happened? The words became harder to remember. The confidence faded. Not because you became less intelligent, but because skill is like a muscle, and muscles that are not used slowly grow weak. This is one of procrastination's most silent costs. It doesn't announce itself. Nobody sends you a message saying, "Your skills decreased by 10% this month." It happens quietly, invisibly, while you scroll through videos of other people succeeding. Let me ask you something. How many skills have you started and abandoned in the last 2 years? A language, a certification, a business idea? Each time you paused just for a while, the skill lost a little strength, and starting again became a little harder than before. Here's the truth. The gap between you and the people you admire is rarely talent. It is consistency. They kept showing up on ordinary days when motivation was low and progress was invisible. You stopped, waiting for motivation to return, and it rarely did on its own. Imagine a violinist who stops practicing for 6 months. When she picks up the violin again, her fingers feel foreign to the instrument. She must relearn what she once knew easily. This is what happens to your English, your coding skills, your confidence in interviews, anything you leave untouched. Skills do not wait patiently for your comeback. They fade while you delay. The lesson is simple, though not easy. Consistency, even in small amounts, protects what you have built. 10 minutes daily will always outperform 3 hours once a month, because skill rewards frequency far more than intensity. Lesson 3. Confidence is built, not found. Many people believe confidence arrives first and action comes second. Once I feel confident, I'll apply for that job. Once I feel confident, I'll speak English in public. But here's the truth. This order is backward, and believing it is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. Confidence is not something you find sitting quietly inside you, waiting to be discovered. Confidence is something you build, action by action, the same way a wall is built brick by brick. Nobody wakes up one morning with confidence installed. They earn it through small, uncomfortable repetitions. Think about a child learning to walk. She does not wait until she feels confident to try her first steps. She falls again and again, and something remarkable happens. With every fall, her legs grow stronger, and eventually, walking simply becomes normal. Confidence arrived after the falling, not before it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever avoided speaking English because you were waiting to feel more confident? While you waited silently in comfortable rooms, Other learners were making mistakes out loud in real conversations, and their confidence was quietly growing, while yours stayed exactly where it started. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Every day you avoid the uncomfortable action, you are not protecting your confidence, you are starving it. Confidence needs evidence to grow, and evidence only comes from doing the thing you are afraid to do. Imagine confidence as a bank account. Every small action you take, the conversation you almost avoided, the message you almost didn't send, the mistake you made and survived, is a deposit. Waiting makes no deposits at all. So remember this: you do not need confidence to begin. You need to begin in order to build confidence. Reverse the order in your mind today, and the fear that has been controlling you will begin to lose its power. Lesson 4. The doors that close in silence. Opportunity rarely announces its departure. It does not send a warning message saying, "This chance will disappear in 3 days." It simply exists for a while, quietly, and then it is gone, and most people don't even notice the exact moment it left. Think about this. A position opens at a company you have always dreamed of joining. You tell yourself, "I'll update my resume this weekend." The weekend becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And one day, without any dramatic signal, the position is filled by someone else, someone who applied while you were still preparing to prepare. Here's the truth. Most people never realize how many doors have already closed quietly around them. Not because they were unqualified, but because they were unavailable at the exact moment the door was open. Timing rewards the ready, not the perfect. Imagine 2 ships in a harbor. One departs on schedule, carrying passengers toward a new destination. The other stays behind, its captain still deciding whether the conditions are ideal enough to leave. The sea does not wait for the second ship. It simply moves forward without it. Let me ask you something. How many opportunities have quietly passed you by in the last few years? A scholarship, a job opening, a chance to speak with someone important, simply because you were still deciding when to act? This is the hidden cruelty of procrastination. It rarely feels like a loss in the moment. There is no dramatic ending, no clear alarm. There is only silence, and later, a quiet realization that the door has been closed for a while. Remember this: doors do not usually close loudly. They close softly while you are still preparing your explanation for why you are not ready yet. The lesson is not to be perfect. It is to be present, available, and willing to walk through the door while it is still open. Lesson 5. Comfort is the most expensive purchase. Comfort feels free. It costs nothing in the moment, no effort, no risk, no fear. But here's the truth. Comfort is one of the most expensive things you will ever buy, because you pay for it later with interest in the form of regret. Think about this. Every time you choose the easier option, scrolling instead of studying, sleeping instead of practicing, avoiding instead of applying, you are making a purchase. The price is not charged today. It is charged years later when you compare where you are with where you could have been. Imagine a man who spends every evening relaxing instead of building the skill he needs for his dream career. 5 years pass. His friend, who chose discomfort, late nights studying, early mornings practicing, is now living the life he only imagined. The comfortable choice felt good every single day. But when the bill finally arrived, it was enormous. Let me ask you something. What have you postponed this month because it felt uncomfortable? Learning something new, having a difficult conversation, applying for something you feared would reject you. Each avoidance felt like relief, but relief is not the same as freedom. Here's an important distinction. Short-term comfort and long-term comfort are almost always opposites. The comfort of avoiding hard work today creates the discomfort of regret tomorrow. The discomfort of hard work today creates the comfort of pride tomorrow. Imagine your future self looking back at this exact day. What would that person want you to choose? The easy scroll or the uncomfortable step forward? Most people never realize that comfort is not the opposite of pain. It is simply pain, delayed and multiplied. Remember this. Choose the discomfort that leads somewhere. Avoid the comfort that leads nowhere. That single decision, repeated daily, quietly determines the entire direction of your life. Lesson 6. Small actions, massive compounding. Here's a truth that most people underestimate. Tiny actions, repeated consistently, create massive results, while huge intentions without daily action create nothing at all. Think about this. A single drop of water seems powerless against solid rock, but given enough time, that same drop, falling again and again, can carve a canyon through stone. The drop never became stronger. Time and repetition did the work. This is exactly how skill, confidence, and success are built. One page of a book will not make you an expert, but one page every day for 2 years will make you someone who has read entire libraries. One English sentence a day feels insignificant, but 300 sentences over a year quietly rebuild an entire vocabulary. Let me ask you something. Why do so many people quit small habits after just a few days? Because they expect visible results immediately, and when nothing dramatic happens, they assume the effort is wasted. But growth is often invisible in the short term and undeniable in the long term. Imagine planting a bamboo seed. For the first year, almost nothing appears above the ground. The second year, still nothing visible. This continues for years, and then, within a few weeks, it grows many meters tall. The truth is, it was growing the entire time, underground, where nobody could see it. Here's the truth. Your consistent small actions are doing the same invisible work right now, even when you feel like nothing is changing. The danger of procrastination is that it interrupts this invisible growth before it has the chance to break through the surface. Remember this. Do not judge your progress by a single day. Judge it by the pattern you repeat. Small, consistent action, done daily without excuses, will always outperform occasional bursts of intense motivation. Lesson 7. The comparison trap that steals your present. One of procrastination's favorite disguises is comparison. You open your phone, see someone your age achieving something remarkable, and instead of feeling inspired, you feel paralyzed. It's already too late for me, you think, and that single thought becomes another excuse to wait. Here's the truth. Comparison, used carelessly, does not motivate you. It freezes you. It convinces you that because someone else started earlier, your own starting point is worthless. But that belief is simply false and expensive. Think about this. 2 people begin learning a new skill at different ages, one at 20, one at 35. If the older person starts today and continues consistently, and the younger person continues to wait for the right moment, who do you think will be more skilled in 5 years? Starting late and starting now, will always defeat waiting for the perfect age. Let me ask you something. How much time have you spent comparing your beginning to someone else's middle or someone else's ending? Every minute spent in that comparison was a minute not spent building your own progress. Imagine a tree standing in a forest surrounded by taller trees that were planted years earlier. If that tree decided there's no point growing since those trees are already so tall, it would remain small forever. But trees do not think this way. They simply grow at their own pace towards the light. Here's an important reminder. Your only real competition is who you were yesterday, not your classmate, not the stranger online, not the person who already made it. Comparison steals your present moment, the only moment you actually have power over. Remember this, it is never too late to start, but every day you compare instead of act is a day genuinely lost. Redirect that energy from comparison into consistent, personal progress, and watch how quickly the gap you feared begins to close. Lesson 8. Fear disguised as laziness. Many people call themselves lazy when the real problem is something far deeper. Fear. Fear of failing publicly. Fear of trying and discovering you are not good enough. Fear of succeeding and having to maintain that success. Procrastination is often simply fear wearing a more comfortable name. Think about this. If laziness were truly the problem, you would feel no desire to improve at all. But you do feel that desire. You think about your goals often, sometimes daily. The truth is, you care deeply. What stops you is not a lack of motivation, but a fear so uncomfortable that avoidance feels safer than facing it. Let me ask you something. When you avoid applying for that opportunity, are you truly too tired, or are you protecting yourself from possible rejection? When you avoid speaking English in front of others, are you truly lacking energy, or are you protecting yourself from possible embarrassment? Here's the truth. Calling it laziness is easier than admitting, I am afraid. But naming the real problem is the first step towards solving it. You cannot fix a fear you refuse to acknowledge. Imagine a soldier who avoids battle, not because he lacks strength, but because he fears the outcome. Calling him lazy would completely miss the truth. The real solution is not motivation. It is courage, practiced gradually, one small brave action at a time. Most people never realize that courage does not remove fear. It simply means acting despite the fear being present. Confident, successful people still feel afraid before difficult conversations, difficult interviews, difficult first attempts. The difference is, they act anyway. Remember this. Stop asking yourself, how do I become less lazy? Start asking, what am I actually afraid of? And what is the smallest brave step I can take today, despite that fear? That question, asked honestly, will reveal more truth than years of self-criticism ever could. Lesson 9. Your environment is quietly deciding for you. Here's something few people consider. You are not only fighting your own habits, you are fighting your environment, and often your environment is winning without you even noticing. Think about this. If your phone constantly interrupts you with notifications, if your daily surroundings are filled with distraction, if the people around you rarely discuss growth or ambition, then procrastination will feel completely natural. Not because you are weak, but because your environment is quietly designed for delay. Let me ask you something. Where do you usually try to study, practice, or build your skills? Is it a space filled with distractions or a space designed for focus? Most people blame themselves for lacking discipline, when the real problem is an environment working against them every single day. Here's the truth. Willpower is limited, but environment works constantly, even while you are asleep. A person with average discipline in a well-designed environment will consistently outperform a person with strong discipline fighting a chaotic environment every single day. Imagine trying to grow a small plant in a room with no sunlight. No matter how much you want that plant to thrive, without the right environment, growth becomes nearly impossible. Now imagine simply placing that same plant near a window. Suddenly, without extra effort, growth becomes natural. You are that plant. Your habits are that plant. If you keep placing yourself in environments filled with distraction, comparison, and noise, you are fighting an unnecessary battle. But if you design your environment intentionally, fewer distractions, clearer cues, supportive people, action becomes far easier than before. Remember this. Stop relying only on motivation to fight procrastination. Redesign your environment so that the right action becomes the easiest action. Small changes to your surroundings can quietly remove the need for constant willpower. Lesson 10. The compound interest of starting today. Here is the final, most important lesson, and it connects everything you have learned so far. Time itself charges interest, either in your favor or against you, depending on whether you start today or continue waiting for tomorrow. Think about this. If you begin learning a skill today and continue consistently, 1 year from now, you will possess something valuable, months of accumulated progress. But if you wait even 3 months to begin, you do not simply lose 3 months. You lose 3 months of compounding growth that could have multiplied into something far larger. Let me ask you something. If you had started working toward your goal exactly 1 year ago, where would you be sitting right now? For most people, the honest answer is uncomfortable. They would already be living a noticeably different life. Here's the truth. The cost of procrastination is never just the delay itself. It is the lost compounding, the missed momentum, the confidence that could have been built, the doors that could have remained open. This is why starting today is worth so much more than starting eventually. Imagine 2 people planting trees. One plants today. The other insists on waiting for a more convenient season and keeps waiting for 3 years. When the second person finally plants their tree, the first tree is already tall, already producing shade, already changing the landscape around it. The seed was the same. The starting date made all the difference. Most people never realize that the best time to start was months ago, and the second best time is today. At this exact moment, while you are still watching this, there is no more perfect future moment coming to rescue you. Remember this, every day you delay adds itself to a debt of lost time that grows quietly larger. But every day you begin adds itself to a fortune of progress that grows quietly stronger. The choice, right now, in this very moment, belongs entirely to you.